Hey folks, it's Mike. Like I mentioned last week, this is a three-part series on the Warriors at 45 North. Straight ahead is going to be part number 2. For those of you who can't seem to remember, um, don't worry about it. You can go back on our YouTube channel. The link for that, is going to be right above. You guys can go back and rewatch it and get yourselves caught up. Enjoy part number 2.
Something didn't seem right, so I didn't push it. And she says, well, you seem kind of standoffish, so I didn't push it either. I said, well, when I'm standoffish and I'm kind of cold shouldered, that means I could probably use the hug the most. That's all I needed to say, and she freaking tackled me. So she went from not wanting to be around men to tackling. I mean, literally, if she parked over at the bunkhouse and I was over here, she'd come full run over and hug me to give me a hug. And she was probably another one that would have been down that 22 a day if it wasn't for us.
That's awesome. I mean, that's got to make you feel good.
It does. I mean, when I first came to the organization, it was because my wife told me I needed to find another mission because she didn't want the kids to come home with something she didn't want or that they didn't need to see. And so this organization, in one way or another, has saved all of us from either going down that dark road or just sinking into the woodwork and dealing with our own problems.
Not dealing with our own
Or
problems.
not dealing with our own problems. And the organization has helped us as a board and staff because at one point we were able to say every board member was a combat veteran.
Still can.
Yeah, still can.
Yeah, we can.
Yeah.
And most of our staff is prior military. We have one or two that aren't. But they see how we deal with each other to help each other with problems. So when we get a vet up here that says, you just don't understand, we can say, well, yeah, we've been there. And we can, if they want help, we can point them in the right directions. We can get them help at the VAs.
Mm-hmm.
If they want to just sit out back and talk, that's what we're here for. And we're not here to talk about, as Terry said, psychoanalyze their problem of why you had the nightmare. It's, okay, you had the nightmare. What's that? Who's telling the next joke?
I love that. Sometimes that's one of those things that we were talking about earlier. Civilians don't understand.
Nope.
So if I were to go into a room with 10 people, let's say 5 of them are civilians and the other 5 are veterans, or 4, because that would make 10. See, that's math for Marines. Do your MCI, kids, because you never know when you're going to need them.
Don't eat the crayons.
Don't eat the crayons. You eat the green ones, not the red ones, because then when you use the bathroom, you think you're bleeding if you eat the red ones. Don't eat the red ones. So
the purple ones taste like grape.
The purple ones. If you eat the whole box, I promise you think you're eating Skittles. Taste the rainbow. If you go in and you say I had a nightmare, those 5 civilians are probably going to want to know what it was about.
Yeah.
A couple of the vets might ask a question or two, but chances are they're going to be like,
Are you
doing
good?
all right?
Are you good?
You good? Or they may even say, all right,
Suck it up and deal with it.
Yeah.
But a lot of times here, it's not suck it up and deal with it. It's are you good?
Yeah, it's are you good? And you mentioned, Chief, you mentioned something earlier, and it was something that I hadn't heard in a long time. You mentioned when you were, when your vehicle was hit by that IED,
Yeah.
and you were talking about, you were talking to your gunner, machine gunner, and you called his name and he said, I'm up. That doesn't translate to the civilian world. When you hear those 2 words, as an infantry guy, as a military guy in general, when you're worried and you hear I'm up, instantly you're like, all right, you get it. This guy, yeah, something may be wrong, but he's ready to go. He's able to communicate and he's able to do his job. I'm up. Those 2 words.
And my only comment back to him was, "Then get off me."
Then get off me. So if I were to look at another military guy who said I had a nightmare, I can say, hey, are you good? Are you up? We okay? Yep. Awesome. And that's it. We understand that it was a bad night, but between the two of us, we get it. If you get a civilian, they're gonna ask. Well, okay, they may ask 10 or 20 questions and want to know why you had a bad night, want to know about the nightmare, want to know what they can do to help, to the point where it's too much. And I've noticed that my wife gets that. And
I wish my wife was here. I really do, because my wife has known me since high school. We're not high school sweethearts. We were best friends in high school. And she knew who I was before I went in the military. She knew who I was before I went to Desert Storm. And when she met me when I came off the plane, she knew me so well that when I got off the plane in Burlington Airport, she didn't say, "Hi, I missed you, I love you," or anything like that. She looked at me, she says, "There's something different about you." She saw it before I could even say hi. And we've been married for going on 32 years. And she still gets it.
She deserves a medal.
She deserves more. I'll be the first to admit she deserves more than that, because she's put up with for a long time.
Yeah.
But when people look at her and say, "Oh, you just don't understand," if she was in this room, every one of us in here would probably say, out of everybody that we run into as civilians, she's one that understands and she gets it.
I wish more people, more combat guys, more veterans in general, had the ability to have somebody that was in their life before and after to recognize some of these things and to be with them when they went through it, to kind of help them through. But what I'm noticing here is everything you guys tell me, specifically about some of the people that have been up here. One of the things that's most noticeable is everybody that comes up here seems to feel like nobody understands, but then when they leave, they feel like everybody that was here with them understood. And I think that's fantastic. And
they'll be able. It might not be everybody here, but they'll relate real well with one or two, three people that they didn't relate with before.
Yeah.
You know, whereas as you said, if there was a bunch of civilians up here, they wouldn't have related at all. But you know, again, I was another one that was fortunate that had a strong woman behind me, and I didn't realize how much I'd changed when I came back. And one day she finally looked at me, she goes, "If I didn't love you and I didn't know you loved me, you'd be gone because you're an asshole," she says. And
I'm a self-proclaimed one.
the very next day, I went to the vet center, got some help, because I didn't realize that I was being that way to her. And so she, you know, but she stuck by me.
Well, take that one step further. You know, I remember you telling me when she told you about watching that special, or that TV program
About
about the service dogs. But one of the things she said to me, or to Chief, at least that's what he says, is that she says, "I didn't know. I just thought you were being a jerk. I didn't know that you couldn't control that." And you know, it's wow.
And I was really glad I wasn't there when she watched that program about servicemen and their service dogs, and what the dogs do for their guys. And Diane's looking at the service guys going, John. And started a little bit more of an understanding. And she said, "Have you thought about getting a service dog?" Well, I didn't before, because I had Charlie, the Cocker Spaniel, that was not trained at anything, but he really took good care of me. And I didn't realize it until I lost him, and I didn't realize it then. I just took a downhill slide. These guys noticed it, but I didn't, and I think my wife did, and that's why I went and got Charlie, the new Charlie.
You've mentioned trips up here and whatnot. How many trips a year do you make up to this? Up here.
5 or 6.
7 we're doing now.
7.
Well, we're back
Yeah.
at 7.
And they usually have a is there usually a I don't want to say a script because that sounds weird, but is there a format
Itinerary?
that they follow?
No.
So it's
We
literally-
don't have a schedule. The girls have more of a schedule than we do.
Okay.
We don't have a schedule.
So
We
the,
wing it.
so
We
the
wing
ladies trips. How long has that been going on?
About 7 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you mentioned that they have so is it more like they do things geared towards scheduling, or is it just how they tend to
Theirs is
how they-
much
how
more
they operate.
structured.
They're more structured, but we come out. When the because a lot of times we were getting a real hard time from a lot of the girls. How come you don't invite us up? And I said, I'm not set up for co-ed. I got a 1-room bunkhouse. And one of them said, well, it wouldn't bother me. And I said, well, it might bother the guys.
Yeah.
It would bother our wives.
Yeah, so that was the one my wife put out. She goes, how do you think this? She says, I trust you. I ain't worried about you. But what about this young wife's going to send her husband up there, and then he comes home and finds out there's women up there too.
Yeah.
It's hard enough to keep a marriage together with the military than without adding other stresses. And so we told Shannon,
Brown.
you want to do I said, you want to have girls up here? Have your own trip. And she said, where? And I said, right here. But you're going to do it. Don't expect us to do it. We do help. Doc and Amanda take them out on the 4-wheelers one day. Terry and I take them out in my pontoon boat one day, and then we take them up the shooting ranges for a day. And other than that, they're on their own and they do their own thing. So we do help, but once we get done with those activities, we're the hell out of here.
I hear you.
We're gone.
So I don't want to say typical because that makes things seem anything other than. But in order for me to understand and for other people, what would a typical trip entail roughly?
Depends on the time of the year.
Yep.
Okay.
Early, like the May trip, is
That's our-
early fishing.
Yeah.
But we can't go out in the 4-wheelers because the trails aren't open yet.
But you can still go up to Jay's and shoot.
Right, we can still go up to Jay's and shoot, and we can go fishing. We can do other activities.
Go to
we
the
wanna
ice
do.
cream shop.
Huh?
Go to the ice cream shop.
Go to
Moose
the ice
Alley.
cream shop. Yeah, that's a nightly thing.
Go to Moose Alley Cones.
Moose Alley's awesome.
Moose Alley Cones. And like June is a fishing and 4-wheeler trip.
Mm-hmm.
The last half of June and July, I closed the camp to visitors because that's for my family to use the cabin. And in August, we have the guys come down. We do 4-wheeling, fishing, shooting, and then the girls have their trip. And at that point, we're starting to do our shows. So we do a lot of shows, selling raffle tickets, and raising money to do what we do. And then the last week of September, first week of October, is called Cast and Blast because bird season opens on the 1st of October and fishing season's open until the 15th. So what do you want to do, cast or blast? And September we can still 4-wheeler, but as of 1 October, no more 4-wheeling. So, and then in November we have a long weekend up here for a lot of people, and we have a Thanksgiving dinner. It's usually the weekend before Thanksgiving. And we have a Thanksgiving dinner up here for some guys that got no place else, no family around, for our staff, for our board of directors, and we have some other people coming in, and this place is packed with food.
Yeah.
Family.
Get the firehouse next year.
Huh?
think I'm gonna have to
I
get the
know,
firehouse
God,
next year.
this place was just full. And but they come up here and they have moose, bear, venison,
Oh, that's fantastic.
turkey.
It's not a typical thing, just a Thanksgiving turkey
That's
type
awesome.
meal.
It's a fun day, a good fun day, and two of the girls came up. One and Shannon brought her husband,
Mhm.
and we got them a Airbnb for the weekend, and the organization paid for it, and it's a good time, and that's the end. The culminate of the season. I usually give out T-shirts and crazy stuff like good stuff. We just have a good time, and that's the culmination of our season. And separate after that, there's some more deer hunting and stuff like that, but that pretty much ends our season, and it gives us a chance to thank the staff and the guys on the board,
Yeah, 'cause
and
if it wasn't for people like Terry,
wouldn't be able to do
Chief
it.
and I wouldn't be able to do this.
It's a good team effort.
What about the female trips? The lady, I apologize. That's old school Mike coming out. But what about the female trips? What do those usually entail? Do they do the same stuff you guys do?
Some of them, yeah,
Some of them, yeah.
yep.
They do. They'll do like a hike to the waterfalls.
Mm-hmm.
There's 2 different waterfalls that they go to. They'd like to get back. I used to, on top of running the camp, I used to run a paddleboard company. Well, I didn't run it; I'd manage it, and I'd always get the paddleboards for the women's trip.
Mm-hmm.
They'd like to get either paddleboards or kayaks
That's cool.
this year, so I'm working on it.
Yeah.
I try to throw something new into their trip every year.
Yeah.
Last year we just, because I was down with
You had
shoulder
surgery.
surgery, trails were completely garbage because of all the rain we had. We lost, I would say, about 70% of our trail system.
Yeah, there was a lot of rain.
Yeah.
We got a lot of rain. So the women's trip this year didn't have a lot going for it, but they still had fun.
Yeah.
They went shooting, they went out on the boat, they did their hikes, they just drive around too. They'll load up in because Shannon would get a van from the VA, and she would drive up and go around in the van. So they didn't have to take separate vehicles.
That's pretty cool.
But they're a little more structured. They like their schedule. They like to know what they're doing, when they're doing it, and what it's going to consist of. And they were kind of upset that the ATVing didn't happen because some of the girls that come up, that's like one of the things they look forward to. But they were okay with it.
But they did take some ATVs down to the lake.
Yep.
And just ride around here, and they enjoyed that some. But we didn't get them out on the trails because the trails weren't there.
Doc, you said you're a hunting guy.
Yep.
Yep. You do hunting trips.
Yep.
So you must see some pretty good sized animals get brought down. Some decent bucks, probably some nice sized doe, and I would imagine, bears.
Yes.
Big one's been evading us.
Is there
No, actually, Eric got the one that was a big
Oh, he
one.
did get the big one. Okay.
By the time he got it, it wasn't a big one anymore. It was a bear that had been literally destroying all my ground blinds.
Oh,
And he was an angry bear. And we found out why he was so angry. He was hit by a truck or something, and his paw was bent over. So it was kind of a mercy hunt.
probably in pain the whole darn
Yeah,
time.
Yeah, and he literally, one season I went through 3 ground blinds because he just tore them up.
Wow. Terry, tell me about, if you don't mind, tell me about some of the stuff that you do
What do you mean?
regarding, so you're on the board.
He keeps Chief and I on track.
Yeah, well, I mean, like,
What needs to be done?
so they've mentioned earlier that without you, this place wouldn't exist, or they wouldn't be able to function. So what are some of the gaps that you fill in, or some of the things that you do to keep these two focused on
Follow
what they
around
have
behind
to
him and say, "Chief, you forgot this."
Well, it's like earlier today, we were up at the range. Chief handed me his rifle to try out. Terry saw me going up like this after shoulder surgery.
Yeah.
He goes, Doc. I said, yep, I got it.
But
And-
no,
but
sorry,
I
go
mean, Terry is not just a way to make sure we have things like cell phones and card keys and glasses as we walk out the door, but he keeps us on track. Like, if there's something that needs to be done in the camp, and we're like, oh yeah, we got to do that, Terry's already got it done.
Yeah.
Like, if we get a group of guys coming in and there's no food on the table, Terry's already cooking.
Okay.
I do the grocery shopping
Yeah.
for the trips.
So when I say what I'm about to say, I mean it with nothing but love. Okay.
Uh-oh.
It sounds to me
No tongue.
like you're the logistics guy.
He's the shopkeeper.
He was.
Hey, I
he
was
was
a storekeeper
He was a
in the
storekeeper
Navy.
of the Navy.
So when I say the logistics guy, some folks understand it differently. So let me explain it the way that I understand logistics in the Marine Corps. And it may apply, it may not. Beans, bullets, and Band-Aids.
That's right. First
You're
sergeant.
You're the guy that makes sure there's beans, bullets, and Band-Aids without other people having to remember that, and without other people having to do that, you just do. Is that a fair assessment?
That's kind of I kind of feel that is my job, is that to pitch in and whatever needs done, do it, and don't have to wait to be told to do it. If I see it needs doing, I do it. So I don't know.
And he does it well.
So you take initiative and make sure that things get done that need to be done. And oftentimes I've noticed that folks that do that, either they don't want to be thanked, or it's one of those things that there's an understanding that they do it because they love it and not because they expect something.
I don't expect nothing. I feel privileged to be able to come up here.
That's
Although
what I
you
was-
asked me that Sunday night at
Monday at the end of the Lancaster Fair.
I might have a few choice words for you otherwise, but no, I feel privileged and I feel accepted and I feel loved and
We can usually tell when Terry's phonometer's full.
And you mentioned your fundraising stuff. What is it you guys do to fundraise to keep this operation moving? What do you guys do? How do the funds come in? What kind of donors do you guys have? That kind of stuff. Without getting too crazy.
You wanna do that one?
I do a lot of speaking places. Well, at one point when we were building the bunkhouse, I'll tell this story.
Oh, this one.
He kept telling me, because he's the money guy, and he says, Chief, we got enough, did the foundation and stuff and the dirt work, but we don't have enough money for the wood. And I said, just put it on order. He did not realize that I'd been out. I go to American Legions, VFWs, and I never walk in different organizations. I never walk in like this. Give me money.
Mm-hmm.
Never.
We're
Tried
always
that
trying-
once just to go get a sponsor for a golf tournament, and the guy gave me a ration of crap, and I said, "Have a nice day," and I walked out. But I'll go in and I'll talk at different organizations, all right, and never looking in there for donations. What I'm in there is inviting all of the veterans that are there to come up and join us, and come out and have a good time. And I always get the question, well, how do you fund this? And I said, I'm glad you asked. And I said, it's strictly on donations. And we have had some tough years.
Oh yeah,
Tough years.
COVID.
Yeah. Oh God, COVID killed us. And we weren't supposed to be bringing people up here. Didn't stop us. These guys still needed it. People still needed to get away. You know, one guy called me and he said, "Could you? I got to get out of my house.
Can
Can
I
I
put
go
a
pitch a
tent?"
tent at your cabin?" And I said, "Sure." And this was in April, and I called Doc. I said, "Could you go open the bunkhouse for him?" Well, he got down here after the guy pitched his tent. Well, he slept in the bunkhouse, and when he got out in the morning, there was 6 inches of snow on his tent. So he sent me a text. He goes, "Thanks for the bunkhouse." And but we've got some people that are now we know, you know, the Kingston Vets Club is fantastic to us every year. They do a lobster bake, and we get their proceeds, and I go down and see them every year on Veterans Day, and they have a big celebration at their club, and all veterans around are invited to go in for a meal and stuff, and I get a chance to talk to the other veterans and say a few words, and they usually give me a check, and they've been just fantastic for many, many years.